Oh, there you are.
Yep.
Betcha.
Is that what? Yeah, it's a different meeting link than the one on your calendar.
That's what I get.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. A,
No, this has happened to me a number of times.
I have a separate file for maps
Yeah.
if you want it.
No, I don't know. I got the maps, but I can't get the text. I opened up what you sent me.
And that was primarily just the plan itself. Let me send you a separate file.
Okay.
yeah, there's two files. One's all the maps, and one is the text of the plan.
Right.
Okay. All right.
It's
All right,
only
all right.
just us.
Still nobody there.
No.
I'm the only one online.
So this one's a PDF.
Okay.
All right, Brian, if you want to jump in whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So last, well, not the last meeting you had, but beforehand, yeah, you were able to meet with Kevin and go over changes to the land use chapter. And as promised, we did produce maps that correspond with those changes Kevin proposed. So the only map that really changed is the future land use map. The other ones are just basically updated with like a new date on it. But the same maps you had before, that's your current land use map. Although I think we added the village centered boundaries. I think that wasn't on there before. Yeah, and then your other maps are fundamentally the same maps. So the question now for you guys is, how would you like to proceed? I mean, there are a lot of edits within the land use chapter, which is the first chapter. And then all the other chapters also have other edits inside of them.
How about if we start with land use? It seems to be the biggie, unless somebody else.
No, I was thinking we would concentrate on that tonight. We should probably have somebody to volunteer to review the energy section, because that was something I didn't know anything about. So, and that there were a lot of changes in that one too. But so before you, let me just ask, I don't know if this is okay, throw you off if we can interrupt for questions. On the village centers, there's designated village centers for the state that gets those. And my understanding is that if we go with these village centers, they're not going to be quite the same. Does that matter?
Yeah, they are going to be different. So there's the old program, which is the village center designation program, which had like requirements, have like an anchor institution in each sort of cardinal direction. Those were much smaller than the new villages that are getting established through the regional future land use map process. So those are going to be much more expansive, which also means then that the benefits of having that old village center designation is going to get extended to all of the areas within the village now. So there were some competitive, you had to apply for tax credits and some other like historic preservation tax credits that were available to businesses within those old designated centers. Those programs aren't going away. So the boundaries of villages are getting expanded, so more businesses are going to be able to take advantage of those.
All right, good. So it's not going to create two classes of business within a village center?
No. And it's a statutory requirement going forward that village centers in town plan future land use maps will have to be the same village in the future land use map. Has to be the same. Statute says now that will have to be the same going forward.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So I think there's 3 village centers on the future land use map.
So the language that you edited in the land use section now does correspond with the map?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the map Kevin, he did a sort of cartoon map of it, and then another colleague of ours, Pete, actually created it in GIS.
Right, and the designations are a little bit different than the ones we had in our draft.
But they map to it.
They pretty much do,
Yeah.
but there's a little bit, I think the difference is the
I just want
rural
to
and.
make sure that the map and the language were.
Yeah.
Okay, kind of good.
Okay, if everybody remembers, the names of the districts in the land use are different than the ones we use.
Right,
Right,
Right.
yeah,
right.
So what I did was, I printed out the new future land use map. And the difference is some of it's picked up where in what was an R district, we called it something different last time. So if you go back, and I did, I went back and looked at the three definitions of a rural area versus a rural agricultural and forestry area. Okay, so if you see RAF and R, okay?
Yeah.
So the R seems to be in what we called rural before. And this, I mean, knowing the town, and I'll pass it on to everybody, this R is just not feasible or doesn't fit in this area. So I think we have to go back and say, wait a minute, we know this area. This is probably one of the worst roads in Heartland, Cream Park Road, and it shouldn't have an R because it has forestry protection. So I think that, no, I'm not trying to solve it tonight, but there'll be a few issues where we may be in disagreement with what the two rivers
yeah.
have.
So what criteria did you use because getting that distinction between rural and what is it, RAF?
Yeah, so Kevin did a lot with this, and I didn't have as much involvement as Kevin had, but.
Yep.
So you have R, which on future land use maps for regional plans is gonna more closely resemble what we call rural general. So that's just rural areas that are suitable for housing, but they're also suitable for other things. So you can have more housing or expect to have more housing in that area versus like the rural ag and forestry lands, the REF. So that area is much more about ag or forestry operations and
Right.
you know, more
So when
forested.
if you're in the RAF, it would be more restrictive in terms of being able
Well,
to.
here, read the definition of what an RAF
Yeah.
is versus an R,
Right.
and that'll explain it.
Yeah, what Kevin created is the intent of this land use area is to maintain the town's natural resource base, connected habitat, the agricultural economy, and the forest industry.
So back to Jay's question. There's an existing Cream Park Road would be less than ideal
Way
to
less.
access. However, if that road miraculously was improved, you're saying that area is appropriate for development.
Well, at least,
Because we're looking in the future too.
when was the last time you went to
I don't know,
Cream Park Road?
I'm not saying we're magically gonna have a good road there.
It's actually, it comes down, it's wicked steep.
It is.
It's the last one that gets plowed. It's the last road, no offense, that you would like to see more housing developed on it. It's just, and I think in this case, God bless you, all you guys at Two Rivers, you ought to run over the road before you category it, you know, just to get a glimpse of it. And the other thing that's really important is all the other roads have paved highways or much better developed roads. The only way that you get to this is on Weed Road, on Cream Park Road, and a little bit on Garden Hill Road. They're very small, narrow, twisty roads. So that's why this shouldn't be there.
So what would be Two Rivers' position if we take this R and make it RAF? Was that throw anything off in terms of the
Does that
regional?
throw your potential building sites out?
Well, we're not, going
Not yours.
finding anyone to
Not
develop it
yours,
ourselves.
but-
But,
Yeah.
I think the reason why, just looking at actually parcel viewer, is just because there's a lot of small parcels on that area.
Yeah,
So it's not as suited to the rural ag and forestry. it maybe isn't the greatest fit for it, but it's the best fit.
Actually,
Is what our
the
position
lots
would be.
that were all created there was the Act 250 10 lot minimum lot size. So when you say small, I don't know if there's any 1 acre lots on Cream Pot. It's in some of the lots, and it's all forested, so it has a forestry potential to it, unlike some of the other ones that you have marked in rural.
I'm clicking on some of these, they generally are about 5 acres.
Yeah, so
they're
basically,
smaller
yeah,
than
so basically what you
lots.
did, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I understand it, you looked at the property boundaries in
Yeah,
the town, and
this
so if
follows
something, yes, so
property
if something was, yeah, I've got an older version here, you know, with the property things on it. If you had smaller lots, you put that as rural, and sections with larger lots.
Yeah, and one thing to point out, I mean, the rural residential area, we expect to see more housing, and there is more housing. The rural general is more of a catch-all kind of thing, and rural ag and forestry is
Yeah,
lands that are larger lots and much better suited to have ag or
Right.
forestry operations on them. That's,
yeah.
yeah, I assume that's why Kevin put that
Yeah.
lot in there.
All right, well, if
as far-
that's, I mean, would it be,
He did
how
say-
horrible would it be if we take this one and just eliminate the R there and just have this
It's-
fill in? with,
and it
I
becomes
can talk to Kevin about
Okay.
that.
Take
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah, tell him, these are very, Jay's right, I mean, I ride a bike, it's not only the steepest road in town, but it's the steepest road in 3 separate parts in town, you know, so it's,
And
yeah.
Kevin did say that when he was here, he was talking about, and he was pointing actually in the northeast, northwest portion, I guess it was, one night when he was here, saying about the number of smaller lots, and then that would probably then convert to that rural.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would hurt just to send it back with Brian, and it'll take them just a second to take a look at it.
Yeah, because I will say, and I think Jay would agree, that even though it shows that there might be separate parcels in there, there's not a clustered housing in there. I mean, a lot of these lots probably have no development on them. Because there's just, you know, you get to the end of the road there, and there's no more than.
I have,
Most of them seem to have a house on it. It might just be set back from the road a good distance.
Maybe, yeah. Right.
not to make you feel too badly, I looked at the whole map to say, wait a minute, is this reasonable? Is that our reasonable? Is this our reasonable? Is that, I looked at the other ones. That was the only one that stuck out like a sore thumb. And one of the reasons is because of the feeder roads that are the heart of this area. These are terrible roads. So anyways, we have,
What is the classification though?
I'm sorry?
What's their
But
classification?
they are
for-
3.
They're class 3s, yeah.
But,
There's class 3 and then there's class 3.
Well,
3
what
minus.
you tell V-Trans is a
Class
class
3,
3,
right.
and
Yeah.
what you maintain.
Yeah,
is
it's the same
standard.
class as the other roads, but they are just, you know, rough, steep roads. All right, well, that's because I thought we were gonna be going through this thing, you know, the whole thing, but if that's the only.
That's the only one I saw.
Okay, does anybody else have any other part? All right, we'll see if that one, then, it's the Cream Pot Road island there, so if we could just bring that into the RAF district, I think we'd be happy. Is there anything else about the rural residential or the villages on the map that anybody had a problem with?
No, because this is on our maps
It's
that we
very
did.
close.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's, well,
Well, we took it around the corner a little,
yeah.
Yeah,
But we wanted to
We
give
did.
that more,
we
more
were looking more
development.
toward
allowed
Gilson.
development. Yeah.
But it does show it goes
Yeah.
around, but then refresh, what's this, IND is industrial?
Industrial.
So that was on the other side.
that's the other side, yeah. But yeah, and we took it to Gilson, but I think that was just but you can't really build on that.
But
It's so
it's labeled rural
steep, yeah.
residential too,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
that would
yeah, you're hemmed
allow
in
for
by
some
the,
flexibility.
yeah, I don't think it's a problem that's not part of the, Well, we had it as mixed use, but we don't have that.
No,
We're back to rural
Yeah.
residential.
And that's
Yeah.
the rural residential,
Yeah,
which is,
yeah.
gives
Yeah.
the flexibility for
Yeah.
mixed use.
Yeah. So I read it and I sort of like the classifications that they came up with. And I think it's good if we can conform our town plan to the regional one. That's something we should strive to do. So if we can resolve this question of just that, if that's the only thing that, I'm happy that's,
Well, what we can do, just to add a little force to it, why don't we have a motion and say, we like the map ourselves, except for that one territory? Is that in
you
order?
want to put it in the form of a
Well,
motion?
I'm just,
I don't even know if we need a motion, because we're still gonna be working a little bit back and forth. You're gonna take this information
Yes, that's a good
back.
point.
We'll just get an
Yeah.
update.
There might be an overriding reason why we shouldn't change it.
It'd be
but-
good, yeah.
Yeah, so let's know
But yeah, I
that,
think
and
he'll
then,
take it back
yeah.
for us, okay.
I'll ask
Me
Kevin
personally.
and Kyle Hansen, who's done a lot of
Like Kyle
that
Hamilton.
map,
Yeah.
and ask him.
Yeah, but it's certainly the sense of, I think you pick up
Kyle
this,
might
it's
wanna
the
go
sense of the
back to,
planning commission as a whole to do that.
And
All right,
then-
do you want to move on, or
Yeah, so what else do you guys want to talk about in the land use part?
I'm sorry?
Oh, yeah, what other concerns from?
Well,
land use?
I made some questions here labeled discussion. I had a question about, this question of should and shall is, but if we accept the thinking of the regional planning commission, and we pretty much throw our eggs into the land use ordinance, local ordinance basket.
Yeah.
Should we is it appropriate in the introductory part of land use to put something that the town plan recommends ordinances?
As in like to draft them and adopt them?
Yeah, well, but should we advise the town?
A recommendation to put
Yeah.
ordinances in place.
It could
Yeah,
be- it could be-
absolutely.
Oh,
You can
okay.
put that
All
in
right.
the town plan.
It could be a goal.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, yeah. Some of to have land use ordinances that reflect that give some enforceability to the districts that we're coming up with. All right, good.
Yeah, you could definitely have a goal to establish.
The other thing was there was a general provision which I liked, but the limitations on principal retail anywhere except in the villages.
Yep.
Do we have a problem with that?
Does it still allow for that?
Well, we
mixed
have-
use, options?
No, because the mixed use, well,
Or now?
yes and no. The mixed use sections have shrunk a little bit. The villages have incorporated, because they expanded, some of what we had
Some
for
of the
mixed use.
right.
But the rural area, it would be appropriate for housing, but it wouldn't be appropriate for retail. So do we,
Yeah.
and we didn't make that distinction enough, I don't think, in our draft.
Yeah, so for regional plan conformance, we only want to see principal retail within village areas. When we say principal retail or primary retail, we're talking about stores that sell things off the shelves. You walk in, you buy something, and you leave. That's that kind of commercial. We're not talking about restaurants. We're not talking about bed and breakfasts or inns or hotels or auto repair shops or nurseries or doctor's offices. And really, the prohibition on that specific type of commercial establishment is because we don't want to see sprawl between villages. We want to keep that within already developed village areas, or if there's any new planned village areas, eventually allowing it there. So that's why not having that in rural areas or most land use districts.
So that leaves us with I think the biggest decision we have to make is that how do we want to make the plan restrictive, or do we make the plan advisory and hope for land use ordinances that are gonna, in other words, have the plan flexible enough So whatever is decided, what they want to do on ordinances, that it'll allow that, it won't prohibit that. But, which I think was where you were headed, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would put
Yeah.
that in your bylaws, you'd probably do this in a table, you would have all the different types of land uses. And you'd say prohibited here, permitted here, conditional use here.
And it wouldn't even be an Act 250 issue, because if you couldn't get a local permit, you couldn't.
Yeah, I hope I'm hearing you correctly. The definition that you've been reading about what RAF means and what rural means and what have you, and as Brian mentioned about the pull stuff off the shelf type, as a principle of primary type retail. I'm fine with that being limited to the villages. What I see the bylaws doing is maybe clarifying a little about what can exist outside the villages.
Right.
And
It'll get much more into the weeds about.
that's fine, but I don't think it has to say that in the town plan.
That's the
Because
question.
because I think the definition of these different areas provides some of that clarification. Now, I don't know how that holds up in front of the court, but.
Yeah, it's almost a strategy that we're doing. In other words, we get the town plan, we make the town plan flexible enough to accommodate anything that we can think of for ordinances. And what we're left with, and this was the concern I expressed at the last meeting, and I've come around a lot of my thinking, as you can tell. But if some reason ordinances, there's just no stomach to move forward on ordinances, or they get defeated or whatever, we can always amend the town plan to be more restrictive, can't we?
You can amend, if it's adopted, you can amend the town plan, you just have to go through the adoption process all over again. But I would say the reason Kevin specifically put that in this draft is because for regional plan compliance, restricting principal retail to village areas or hamlet areas, but you don't have hamlets, that's something for regional plan compliance that we need to see. So we've not allowed other town plans, like Chelsea had a mixed use area where they wanted to allow for principal retail within that area. It was kind of going to be like a new Chelsea village. And we said no. The same thing in Brookfield, they created a new Brookfield Center Village area in their latest future land use map. And we also said, okay, then don't put that in there.
Hartford wanted to do that whole development at the exit there.
Yeah.
All right, so you don't have a position, I take it, correct me if I'm wrong, about whether we want to restrict other kinds of businesses, if we want to tackle the thing about Airbnbs or inns or other kinds of businesses in the rural areas.
No, but yeah, bylaws would be the natural place to do it all that length.
Yeah, but if the bylaws, if we're back to where we started, or where we are now, and bylaws just can't get off the ground here, and all we have is the town plan, we can make the town plan more restrictive at a later date.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, if you don't have that in bylaws and bylaws and adopt it.
I find your definition of principal retail very understandable. One of the things we wanted to foster, I think, was whether it's apartments or just multifamily outside of or allow it outside of a village center. What if there was a small building, but on the ground floor, there was like a little convenience store?
Like a mixed use building?
We talked a lot. In fact, we had the label mixed use originally because we thought it encompassed what we wanted to do. So would that go against the definition of principal retail? I think it improbable, but
it depends on what's in there. I mean, if you're talking about like a store, yeah, that would be principal retail that sells things.
So it wouldn't be allowed in that.
It wouldn't be allowed, but you could have another type of commercial business
I
underneath.
think people driving in, there
Well, you see that in a lot of.
Oh, sure, you do.
Absolutely, first floor retail.
Yeah.
The rest of them are
Right,
residential.
well, we across the street, but but that's in the town, and they, you know, I certainly have no conflict with the regional commission about trying to keep that out of, you know, or try to confine that to village areas.
And we don't have any real choice in that because our plan has to conform with theirs and with the state, so.
Yes, and I
For
think,
them to
yeah,
approve it.
yeah, that was my question, whether we can make ours more strict as long as it doesn't conflict with theirs. Yeah, they've left it open how much regulation we want to do in some of the areas, but we can't allow principal retail with a.
Well,
And I don't think
that's an interesting question, because that actually is a very interesting question. So the regional commission promulgates a set of rules. If we had more restrictive rules, we're actually countering that vision. We're not embracing that vision, nor are we supporting that vision. That's a very good question. It's not that you just being more liberal would be in contravention of the rule. I think being more conservative, more restrictive would be in contravention of the rule.
I don't see that conflict, but, you know, I see it on the first instance, you know, if we made it more,
Let me give you the example that popped into my head, housing.
yeah,
So they're promulgating housing, even if doesn't have to be acted upon.
Right.
So what if we came up with far more restrictive housing rules?
well, there's a problem there because of the new
Well,
amendments to Act 250.
But, you know, would that be allowable?
So there's two things to consider. One is what statute says you can and can't do.
Yeah.
You can't outlaw mobile homes, for instance. State says you can't do that.
That's always been the case.
It's been the case. You can't do the same with modular housing, multifamily.
Yeah.
You can't prohibit it in an area that also has a family. Then there's, of course, adhering to or aligning with the state planning goals. So one of the major, and I think it's the first one, the state's planning goal is to maintain the traditional pattern of settlement, where you have cluster development in village areas with a mix of uses, and then you have rural areas where you have predominantly housing, forestry, ag, and sometimes, like, you know, people do have a commercial enterprise out there as well. That's, you know, your plan simultaneously has to conform to state statutes, but also sort of align with those goals. And the regional plan is the same, and we have to write the regional plan to be legally conforming and also aligned to those
I
same
don't know that I
planning
understand that. I absolutely understand conformity to statutes. Alignment with goals, that's interesting. That's not codified. I don't know that it's enforceable, is it? Alignment with goals?
So when we check a plan, a municipal plan for regional conformity, we are checking that you do align to the
Okay.
state planning goals.
Okay, so that is enforceable?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Well,
you've answered my-
it could invalidate a portion of the town
Yeah,
plan.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
inconsistent with the
but
state.
it's
yeah.
got teeth.
Right.
That's what it's saying.
Right. But I think again, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think the state amendments were, they want to get away from this concept of having large lot sizes that restrict potential affordable housing.
Yeah,
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you can't really restrict.
And I think that the way I read it, the way it's done with the definitions of the RAF and the rural was pretty good. In other words, if you look at these areas, there's really nothing along the highways or some of these major roads that would be, someone wanted to, like, the example I always do is Chet Pescia's place. Perfectly blends in, with
You're talking about Chet Pescia's place on Route 5.
On
Yeah,
Route 5.
yeah, the
So
cluster.
the corner of 12 and 5, basically.
Yeah, a little bit down the road. Yeah, he's got
Yeah.
maybe 3 or 4 units of, what
They're
are
kind
they,
of double
4?
housing,
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
Duplexes? Or-
Duplexes,
Yeah.
it might even be quadruplexes.
Yeah, duplexes have to be allowed
Yeah,
anywhere single-family
yeah,
homes are
Yeah,
allowed.
but
by
it was,
statute.
so we don't want to, and I think that what the state was after is that you can't really zone that out anymore.
No,
Yeah.
Anywhere you allow single-family
Right,
homes,
right,
duplexes are
okay.
also allowed by right.
Yes. So, and our old town plan did that because we had lot sizes, at least for Act 250 purposes. You know, you look at the thing, you can see that there's plenty of under 10-acre lots in the rural areas up here, but a lot of that existed before we even had a town plan. All right. I don't want to throw you off, but so, all right, you've already answered this because I think you said you don't want to zone out like necessarily camps in the rural areas.
No.
But you might want to not have inns or clusters of what I was describing, what Chet did, and have it be Airbnbs.
Yeah,
Yeah. And what we did I don't know if you saw it in the definition section, we made a difference between a short-term housing and inns.
Yeah.
So we're calling anything over 3 units an inn.
well, you could have a triplex, and that could just be individually owned units within the same structure, or you could have a small
Yeah.
apartment building, and that would be an inn.
Yeah.
Well, what do we,
I mean, that's a draft, and we sort of plucked that number out. If we have a.
if
Well, I
you,
think the important thing when it comes to separating, what is just housing, like multifamily housing
Yes.
from an inn is, of course, an inn is a commercial enterprise that offers housing on a temporary basis.
Yeah, we don't want to
You would
stop
treat that
people
differently.
from having even a short-term rental, if the income from that keeps them in their property, because we hear that argument a lot, and it's a good argument.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to stop that, but we don't want to have turn potential rental housing into Airbnbs.
Right, you don't want to see
Yeah.
that conversion.
Yeah, okay.
And we don't want to really see that
the way
either.
you're using in with several cottages comprise an inn.
Yes. That's what I intended. You could read it and see if you think that it does it, but
Well, I would.
Yeah.
In connotes it means something in my own head. I wouldn't think of 5 cottages, 6 cottages as an inn, but I certainly would consider them a commercial endeavor, rental endeavor.
But if we define it as an inn, it is an inn.
You,
Yes, so-
okay. But that's what
I agree with you.
You were
Yes,
more
that's right.
encompassing.
That's why I was,
Yeah.
maybe there's a better word than inn, but
Are we thinking about your neighbors by any chance?
well, that's a good example.
Well, that is a
Yeah.
good example.
Yes. exactly.
And the state does have a
I don't want to
definition for
get way
short-term
off
rental.
track here, but if those cottages had indoor plumbing, had a workable kitchen, all the 3-piece, 4-piece, whatever they consider a kitchen, had bedrooms, its own heating unit, et cetera, why wouldn't that be considered a house?
It would be.
It could
It's,
be.
it's what the use is.
Yes.
It's a commercial
I
endeavor.
get that part. But I just wanted to make sure
No,
that they didn't completely.
No, they built small houses to run.
No, I know that,
No,
but I was
but-
thinking away
yeah,
from the specific.
yeah, yes.
That's right.
And going,
I agree with that. That's a house.
Okay, yeah, I think, all right. I'm just running through my things and then, so I won't
Yeah,
interrupt.
and really
Hopefully
in
won't
bylaws is where you want to define all those land
Yes,
uses and
That's
regulate
right.
those.
So even in the definition section, it wouldn't be that big a deal, but, adding that, I just made a note, given the news lately, the fluvial erosion was very timely to
Yeah, it's always.
put that in. Okay. I think I'm done with my questions. If you want to go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just want to hear,
Yeah.
what you guys
Oh,
want
all
to
right.
discuss about it.
Yeah.
jump around just a little. And I believe it's chapter 7, you had about utility, when you were talking about childcare facilities, there was a fairly extensive correction or addition that you had that was based on some state statute, let me see if I can find the page. You
Oh,
find
a
it?
registered childcare home or a licensed program?
Right, there was a
Yeah.
section in there that I interpreted you to say that it was something that was almost boilerplate that had to go in from the state.
So I took the definitions here, the state's definitions. They do have, they regulate, I don't remember which agency it is, but they do regulate childcare facilities, and there are two types. Those are the two types and the definitions provided by the state.
Right.
It's TCF licenses them. Yeah, one is the, like the old schoolhouse in Four Corners, that would be a
The one
daycare
that's-
facility.
they're negotiating.
But some people have care for like 6 kids or less in their homes, and that's a,
Yeah.
you know,
I think
registered.
when you pointed, there's one in North Heartland, just on the
Yeah,
railroad bridge there.
Yeah.
I think I have it in here. So I think I
I
capacity
think
of
that one
9.
is, that's a licensed daycare, I
It
think.
is,
But,
Yeah, it's a childcare home.
yeah,
anyway, so to me, that to me was more of I didn't look it up to see if it was a state definition, but
Yep.
it's what you were saying, that was my question.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the state's
It's
definition.
really, it's a cut and paste type
Yeah,
thing.
and I think
Yeah.
it's good to call that out, that we don't want to, there's certainly want to encourage childcare.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, okay.
It does remind me, the only thing I never, I tried following up, but I couldn't get any information about EMS services in town. If anyone has any information they want to contribute about EMS services.
You mean the section in the plan or the?
Yeah, it's one of the things to add into the utilities and facilities chapter, just a brief overview of
Okay, you
emergency
didn't think it
management
was, we had
services.
nothing?
There's no.
Oh, there's nothing.
No, there's no
There's anything
specific
in there.
statement.
Yeah.
There's one sentence about emergency dispatch and it's 911. And police protection's in here, but not for like medical services.
Well, if there's some boilerplate that you use, go.
Well, because I don't know who the town like contracts with.
Oh,
for
So
that.
does it go through Windsor? Does any 911 call
I
go to
don't
a
know.
Windsor
No.
call center?
Whoa, that's a good question.
See, all ours, yeah,
Windsor
and
County.
that's been debated several times at the select board. All it says is emergency dispatch and enhanced 911. That's the heading. The town of Hartford Emergency Dispatch handles both fire and ambulance emergencies in Heartland. No change in services is needed.
Hartford.
That's where the dispatch center is.
Okay, so it's Hartford also providing ambulance service.
That's where the dispatch comes from. Now, I don't know,
Yeah,
I suppose we could add in there where the various EMS services might come from, but that dispatch may call them up from Windsor for all I know.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
don't know that.
Well, maybe we should run it.
I'll look at it.
To
Well,
run it
would
by the
you-
fire chief.
I was gonna say, it would be the same for the
I
fire.
would get that answer.
Because I thought Heartland did have trained EMS.
They do have some.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, there's a vehicle down there.
You really need to put something in because the town has got Windsor County Sheriff. They did not go with the town of Windsor Police Department.
Right.
That is
And
correct.
there's some issues,
Yeah.
especially the poor people that got tagged out here.
That's all right.
Oh, yeah, someone
They
was
only
pulled
got
over when it
warnings.
was coming in.
Yeah, someone got pulled over coming in.
Anyways,
I saw
that's-
The sheriff.
that is a very sore subject in town.
The power to listserv.
It does speak sometimes.
It does.
And I think the other comment I had was that I like the language on the utility policies.
The, which ones?
You know, about the towers and things like that.
Yeah, I copied a lot of that
Yeah.
from our regional plan.
Yeah,
There's, I'll have to do it, I'm planning, well, because of ACCD, I have to do a training on towers and then give an overview of that process in September. But the standard with all these policies is just if it's reasonable, you know, the Public Utility Commission will look in a town plan for policies like this and then make a determination whether to apply them or not in the proceedings.
I like that language.
The things that are in our regional plan are not automatically brought into this process, so it is important to have that in your town plan, even if it's the same thing in ours, because this will be they will look at this for these policies.
Right, unless there's something else, I mean, why don't you email us about this thing?
Actually, I'd like to add one more.
Oh, go ahead.
I think from a planning point of view, that before you make a determination of what part of town is included in a particular district, you really ought to do a contours overlay. If someone had done a contour overlay here, you would see where a lot of issues are that I think would make this not an appropriate area.
No, Kyle Hansen, when creating, well, not that map, but this one, did look at contours and river corridors, wetlands.
I guess, wetlands are a different story. I haven't seen a large-scale map with contours. Have I missed something?
Well, it wouldn't be in that one. It wouldn't show up. It was a factor in deciding what districts to create.
Yeah, but there's no way, you're thinking of an overlay, if you can overlay contours onto the.
No, not even for that purpose. We've pointed this out to you, and I have a feeling we have a very strong point of view about this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just want to come back and you said, well, we'll run it by the rest of the guys at Two Rivers, take for this little area, put a contour over it to see the difficulty of why housing shouldn't be there.
I believe you. I just think they thought maybe it's not the ideal fit, but it's the best fit.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why they did it because of the lot sizes, but it's if you were up on that road.
We have two people that are old residents of that area. How many small lots are there on Cream Pot that where, these are spaghetti lots, a lot of them were. They're like 1,000 feet deep. Nobody is going to build back there because of the
Contours.
contours.
There's one, and it's where Eastman lives. It's a 5-acre lot. Where's
Two, one's up where you were.
Oh, Chase, lives off of Gordon Holmes Drive.
Yeah, right.
That's 3 acres. But
And
that's it.
they are spaghetti lots, they were developed up there
Right.
early on.
But there
Exactly,
were 9 narrow
right.
lots created.
Do you know why they were created in that shape?
Back in the
Yes, yes, because some guy from Rutland decided he was gonna buy before Act 250, I don't know,
No,
100
it was
acres.
under Act 250.
Was it under?
Yeah, you could go 9 lots and you
He
go.
did it, he spaghetti.
He was the quintessential developer that spent a lot of time in Vermont. You can only do 9-lot subdivision,
Right.
and they had to be 10 acres.
Yeah.
And the property belonged to Wendell Marcotte's sister. Okay, and they wanted to get rid of it in one swoop. He came in, he bought it all, 9 spaghetti lots, 10.1 acres each.
I have a question. This past 2 days ago, there was a black survey truck on Green Pot Road with a paper sign on the side that said road survey. And the guy was out there doing a road survey. I didn't stop to talk to him, but has anybody heard about that? Why would we have a road survey on Green Pot?
Did it say TRORC? I think we're fine with that.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, don't remember there is someone we have on contract with our staff named Alan. He's the former head of DPW in Hartford. He is employed in the summer to go out and do road erosion inventories. So he'll go out and he'll look at all the hydrologically connected road segments in towns about every 5 years and see, how's the ditch looking? How are the culverts there? Is the road still in good condition? And inventory of that goes up to VTrans, and then VTrans looks over that data. But then it also, when you see a bad spot, your town will every year get a little bit of money to fix that from VTrans for that.
There's, on Green Pot Road, because Jay's been mentioning this, we live at the top of one of those hills, and we allowed the town to put a culvert on the far side of the road, going underneath the road and dump the water onto our property, which was fine. It stopped the town from plowing down our stone wall. So we figured it was a good trade-off.
Yeah.
So the problem is that there's two of those, and they're huge holes by the side of the road. Now, as soon as the snow comes, the snow is plowed over that, no one can see it. And the people across the street from us, I'll give you an example, they do a bed and breakfast, what do you call it? Airbnb. So they have people with no snow tires.
Right.
And no knowledge of how to drive, like pull over, because it's a one-lane road, Green Pot's one lane.
It basically is.
Right, and if the school bus is coming, you're dead, or the UPS truck going over the hill coming down. Well, at least 4 times a year, at least, we have a big vehicle or a small vehicle fall in that hole where the culvert is. And, I had Bob Gray with his tractor fall in the hole. The gas company that's delivering the bottled gas falls in the hole. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And no one has done anything to mitigate that, put any kind of big railroad rock in or any kind of a grid, anything. But I mean, if you increase the traffic on that road, it's a disaster.
I would add this, if you would suggest as much to a Kevin.
Yeah.
Tell Kevin if he wants a bird's eye view, I would be happy to strap him to my front bumper and drive him along Green Pot Road. Tell him,
We'll probably send Kyle instead.
Right. Looking for volunteers.
You better have a lot in your battery if you're gonna take an electric bike. But you understand that this, we can't really address road work in
I was
in the
just
town
curious
plan. No,
about the survey, and he answered it wonderfully.
Yeah.
Kind of, does he have gray hair, older guy?
Yeah, he's in his,
That's him.
early 70s.
It's gotta be him.
yeah, I think at one point in time, they also went down Garden Hill Road, and that got into a little bit of the business with the former town manager. And that in fact, that he had directed that maybe there'd be some more outflows into the Mansfield, taking down the stone wall. So you've been through that one too.
I have one more item.
Yeah, go ahead.
We have at the end, something at the very, very end, something that's called responsibility for implementation.
Yep.
Is that required?
Yes.
It takes up a lot of room.
Yeah. So typically what we advise towns to do is just take the recommendations that you have in your town plan throughout the chapters, put them in a table, a timeline for implementation.
Not necessarily the goals, just the recommendations.
Yeah, and not policies either, because policies are.
So just the recommendations, because we have a mix.
So we could edit it down to recommendations?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a mix in there.
Okay, if you want to, would you
I'll
see what you
start
can do?
What page are you referring to?
It's the whole section.
Yeah, it's the very
It's
last
10.
section.
131.
Oh, I didn't realize these were all of them together.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
just like a grid, yeah.
recommendations. Yeah, there is, as part of statute, there is a requirement to have, not necessarily like this, I mean, this is how we interpret it, but something about a plan for implementation as part of your town plan.
Who monitors that?
In reality, we do on behalf of the state. You will,
That was not
before
meant to be rude.
No, or you mean who actually implements everything?
Or who monitors that it is being
yeah,
implemented.
compliance with.
That the town plans
we do it. I mean, you will submit a copy of this up to ACCD before the hearing.
Wait, what's ACCD?
Agency of Commerce and Community Development.
Okay.
It's the state agency that oversees things like town plans and bylaws. But yeah, really on their behalf, we'll look it over and make sure that you have something in here for
So-
implementation.
So if you could just help me then with that process, humor me. We are going to tie this up, hopefully in the not too distant future.
Yep.
We are going to advertise for an open hearing.
Yep.
We're
There
going
is
to-
also a report you have to do for ACCD.
When does that have to go in? Because my question is,
Let's look at statute.
when does ACCD come into my life? Once we're finished here,
At the hearing stage.
at our hearing stage,
Yep.
before it goes to the select board?
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, I can look up the statute. I don't remember all the exact steps.
You know, those recommendations with the responsibility assigned to it, I mean, a lot of those responsibilities are, we don't control
No.
those.
Yeah.
I mean, we're earmarking other parties as being responsible for
Right.
something.
Yeah, but that part of the town plan always struck me as a vestige of something, of an original thing, because it was, we just always threw it in. And
That was part of the reason I was asking, when does this report and this draft, if you will, need to go to the state? Because
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me.
Because.
You
let's say
can't
the state's
obligate
fine.
others.
The state said, that's okay.
Yeah.
It goes to the select board. If the select board said, well, we don't like this, this, and this, we're gonna change it, they have to send another report back up to the state to get the state to approve their changes?
The state isn't really going to look over it for that. They really rely on us.
So
to
they're
do
just,
it.
it's a paper trail.
It kind of is a check the box situation.
That's fine.
Statute says you do a report.
Yeah.
There's
I know.
magic
do it.
words, that you
And so I just was trying to figure out how cumbersome the whole process
Yeah,
is feeling.
But
you
don't
can make
forget-
recommendations, but to affirmatively obligate someone without having discussed it with them strikes me as.
Well, we have listed them in here.
Right,
Yeah.
Conservation Commission's still allowed.
Don't forget,
But also-
we have a public hearing. People give us comments.
Correct.
We've never, ever, at the end of the first public meeting, just said, oh, we're voting on this. We always go back and choose some more.
All I'm saying, recommendations, yes, but then, once those are done,
Yeah.
that version, that book goes to ACCD, and
But-
they record it, and then it goes to select board, and they go through their rules.
But we should have a hearing where we don't have to write a summary of what we've done because it's not official. So I think that we don't want to send a statement in right off.
Oh, no. I believe what I heard, it goes in after our hearing.
No, it
No.
actually goes in 30 days before your hearing.
That's not what I heard then, okay.
Sorry. Yeah,
No.
and it's more than just ACCD. It's also to us. It is to the chair of the planning commission of each abutting municipality. To the clerk, so both the planning commission chair of the abutting municipalities, the clerk of those municipalities, the executive director of the regional planning commission, so Peter, the Department of Housing and Community Development within the Agency of Commerce and Community Development, and then anyone else who requests notice.
All right, we can get that list, and
Yep.
that's easy enough to manage that part of it. But go back to what Jay just said. We have our conversation, we vote that, yeah, this is the one we want to bring to the public,
Mhm.
and we send it out to all these people.
Yep.
And then they submit some comments possibly, and we have our open hearing, and maybe we hear something from that, and then we come back and say, yep, we're gonna make this edit and that edit. Do we have to send those edits off again?
It's just to the first hearing. So if you have a second, well, technically you have to have two hearings because you're,
No, the select
Two
board
boards.
has that too.
oh, right. So the planning commission level, so you'll have your hearing, your first hearing. you could have a second hearing if you really do make a lot of revisions to it following public
But if
comments.
it's not a lot of revisions, we don't really need that second hearing.
That actually makes sense if you think about it, because what you're doing is you're informing. You're not saying it's a finished product.
No, I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if, you know, if Jay gets a wild hair, and he can, I love you dearly, and he says, well, no, we need to rewrite this whole chapter.
it truly is a draft, though, until it's adopted. It's our finished word
I'm
product.
getting
No, but it's,
bogged down in a little bit of minutia, but the process to me was helpful to, the critical part was that it needs to go out before
Yep.
we introduce it to the public.
And we're gonna get a lot of handholding, I think, from,
I heard part of it just then, and that's why I said, I'm not writing this down, I know where I can go get it.
On writing the report?
Yeah, we can help with the report. It is, because you're changing land use areas, there's some like specific requirements you have to put in there.
To change from old plan to new plan,
Yeah,
that's the revision report you want.
yeah, when you change a land use district, you have to
Well, there's gotta be
answer a couple of
gotta
questions.
be boilerplate out there with these new categories.
yeah. Oh, yeah, this is, you know, if we,
How long do these reports tend to be?
Depends on how many changes there are. There's the whole, like, you have to answer like 7 questions when you change a land use district. And then there's a couple of other questions in general you always have to answer. So you'll have to answer those like 7 questions for
Where
each
is that
change to land use.
information, what we need to?
In state statute, go to Title 24. It's within Chapter 117, and it's 4384. That's the section devoted to the preparation of the plan and the hearings by planning commission.
Okay.
you know, the noticing strikes me as favorable, but that's a really broad distribution. What's behind that? I mean, that isn't haphazard.
It's Vermont's longstanding commitment to democracy.
they just want everyone, they want to make sure
Yeah.
everyone gets their 2 cents
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
And so-
I honestly, the other town plans I've worked on, helping them get out the notice to all the neighboring communities, only one has ever showed up to the hearing, and they didn't have any questions. They were just new to the planning commission, just wanted to know what this looked like. That was in Chelsea.
Because I guess I did wonder what recourse they may have with anything. I don't know that they do.
The only thing I could see is maybe they'd be upset if you said like, oh, toxic waste district over here on the town
plan,
border.
if you had a project and the town plan and it was not approved because of the town plan, and you can attack the validity of the town plan because it didn't comply with any of these things.
But would they have a comment on the actual plan itself, the construction, the drafting of the plan? It seems like not all of those
I'm not saying
parties
it's a good
certainly
argument.
would.
3 times before, I've not seen that yet.
Yeah.
So probably not.
Okay, all right. I'm just curious. I'm gonna read that.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of, yeah,
It's a
Vermont's
lot
full
of
of that
stuff.
stuff though, yeah. You have to check with XYZ. And it's, most of it is lip service that you pay to that.
So I did have one other thing. Have you discussed or thought more about trying to get an affirmative determination of energy compliance?
Yeah, I knew you were going to
That's what
bring
we
that
were,
up.
yeah, I don't know anything about that, so.
I'm throwing up my hands about my
Yeah, so
knowledge.
I did my best to make the plan compatible with the requirements. So you have to have what's called an enhanced energy plan, which is not just what statute says you have to have, and there's a couple of things statute says you have to have in the energy element. But it's more than that. It's like policies about siting and stuff. And a section about equity, that's why all that's in there.
Right.
And I had another of my colleagues 2 weeks ago look it over and just make sure I didn't miss anything, and he thought it looked good. So this could be something that you also go for when you ask for regional plan compliance. You will have to get regional plan compliance first, and then you can turn around at any time. It doesn't have to be right away, but you can then request an affirmative determination of energy compliance, which will give the town plan more say when the Public Utility Commission is reviewing an energy generation project.
Oh, okay.
Gives you more say in those proceedings. I think about 12 or 13 of our towns have it.
You want to report back next meeting? I just don't know anything about energy.
I
so,
don't,
yeah.
I have to confess, I don't either. Can you
Yeah,
be helpful here?
the difference
I mean, it
is,
looked good to me, yeah. I mean,
yeah, the difference is the Public Utility Commission has to look at your town plan. When you get like a solar field wants to come in, they look at your town plan. They're gonna get what's called due consideration. They look it over and they go, we'll apply that one, we won't apply that one. Okay. But if you actually have affirmative determination of energy compliance, they have to give you what's called substantial deference, which is a higher bar than just merely considering what's in the town plan. They have to look at it and they have to find that a greater public good is served by not applying a policy than otherwise. So you get a much higher scrutiny.
That sounds like it would be dynamic. That
Potentially.
you would not write that and put it on the shelf for 5.
No, there's a lot of
5 or
ongoing
6 years.
litigation in Vermont
I just,
towns, yeah.
well, maybe we do need to be
And
more in tune with
the
that.
cases are in federal court, that's the other thing. All right, anything more
Talking about
for,
energy.
Yep.
So, property assessed clean energy district.
Yep. I'm using it as,
It's,
yeah, PACE never really came to fruition in
ah,
Vermont. I just have it in there as
okay,
a thing and within, say you support the idea of it, so then you can say in the equity part, yeah, we thought about creating this thing, which would have been a great benefit to those who are those residents with lower incomes. Really, no town ever implemented a PACE district.
that's on page 85 of the Word document. The financing from municipalities to owners, this is Act 45 of 2019. That's roughly around page 85. That kind of funding or financing from the municipality needs approval of a majority of town voters, so I guess we never.
Never pursued it, and then you would also need to finance it. So you would need to have a special assessment. So property taxes would go up.
Did we just not mention it?
I'm just using it as you're discussing it in here and saying what the benefits would be and just saying you vaguely support the idea as evidence that you're considering equity.
Vaguely support.
I'm not expecting the town to actually adopt the PACE district.
Yeah. Can I ask
Sure.
something totally different, which is about Basin 10, technical basin plan?
Yep.
What actually is that?
The tactical basins, I think there's 14 of them across the state. So they're watersheds. And there's actually people employed, I think they're Department of Environmental Conservation or A&R, I can't remember which one. They're employed to be planners for those watersheds, and they create those plans, and I think they're updated about every 5 years. And so all the major watersheds in Vermont, there's a tactical basin plan for each one, and there's a series of like recommendations they have inside of it, things, project sites they would recommend for this or that. It's required in statute, to support it as one of the things to do. So I just had to
Just say,
yep, we support the recommendations in there, not expecting you to do all of them or,
can you roughly tell me where I go find such information?
Yeah, let me see it because it kind of here. In the,
Don't go to great difficulty doing that for me, but I'm just curious. I'm very supportive of this kind of idea, but
Basin
I know
10.
what it is.
Yeah, it's. Okay, it is DEC, it's Department of Environmental Conservation. And then,
I could just do a Google search.
yeah, you're in, or the majority of the towns within Basin 10.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's the Ottauquechee and Black River watershed.
Right. You also said in energy section, page 90, that we didn't mention renewables for transportation and electric generation.
Yeah, I think, let's see, 90.
I think that's in the Word document. Or maybe you had it in the PDF.
Let's see.
And if we haven't, then how do we address it?
Was it in the Word document? So I don't see it in
Okay.
here.
So it might be in the
Is it in the PDF version?
PDF.
Okay, so that was a comment, was it left by Kyle Katz?
So this is section missing content devoted to use. It was year BK 58. Missing content devoted to use of renewables for transportation and electric generation.
Nope, that was me. Okay. Okay, it's about energy storage. Oh, I see it. The comments not showing up. Use of renewable energy. I mean, it's implied because you would be using electricity to power an EV. And if you're talking about increasing the renewables in the energy mix or the electric grid, you are talking then ultimately about increasing the use of renewables to power an EV. Oh, and it's also electric generation. Okay. You talk about, yeah, the renewable sources of electric energy and Heartland above that. I don't know why the comment in there. I mean, yeah, there is, I guess, not exactly the same section devoted to
Right.
use of renewables and
That's right, it's
EVs.
a heating energy.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think I had the comment in here because it looks like it was about to start a list because you have one and then
Right,
A and B.
exactly, yeah.
And I think, okay, now I think I remember this correctly. If, I thought maybe this got cut from a previous version,
It's
but there would have been like a
possible.
2 and a 3.
Okay, it's possible.
Dan, if you two are still talking, I was gonna talk this way. Just for example, on that implementation section, in chapter 1 now, there are 2 recommendations.
For all of chapter 1. By far the
There's a
most.
shorter list at the end.
Yeah. Well, if we can cut it down to that.
I mean, certainly goals and policies are there and they'll stay, but the recommendations, I just happened to look at chapter 1.
I thought I heard you say we might discuss pace from an equity standpoint.
That's why I have it in there, yeah.
Trump put out a white paper in 2011 on pace. Now look in here, this says Heartland has an active pace program.
Huh.
44 Vermont towns.
Huh.
And there are 17 active PACE districts. So I don't know what the difference between a district and a program is. And once we gotta read this stuff. This is efficiency Vermont saying it, but I read this. Downloaded a bunch of stuff. Your white paper, UVM's got a white paper, state's got statutes.
I did not know that you had one. Yeah, so you do establish a district.
Yeah. This is my damn planning commission page. We got too many. We got so
Overplan.
So I think at the very least, we need to become more
Wait, it says-
conversant, right?
Residents of the following towns are currently eligible to apply for PACE.
Right.
Right. But you didn't establish one by
Well,
the time this one's created.
but it's kind of weird, right? If you read that, you would kind of infer that there is something there.
But the residents would have to vote it into existence.
And we never took it.
Is it a townwide tax or is the tax on the landowner townwide?
It'd be well, landowners, yeah.
Well, what I meant is
assessment
not
property
the,
owners.
yeah, okay, all property owners.
I believe it's all property owners.
It's probably gonna be aspirational.
Yeah. They never really took off in Vermont, but a couple other states did adopt them.
Okay,
There's a fund at the state level, it says, the state peace reserve.
where'd that go?
Yeah, it looks like there wasn't the same little area, that section in the old 2017 town plan.
Well, it's always good to know about this.
I mean, I could add some text in here about electricity, about EVs, or other kinds of.
So it might get cut from the original chapter.
Yeah, okay. Do you have other questions?
No,
I was thinking we could let Brian go on this. You're welcome to stay, but
I have no opinion on who should join here. Take no opinion on that.
So what I'd like to see at the next meeting, put on the agenda, is this, well, first of all, I guess the next step, Brian, would be if you get back to us on this
Yep.
Green Pot Road thing, and then let's assume that flies, then we have to make this decision on the shoulds and shalls. And it's basically just, what is the town plan gonna be?
Do we, are we comfortable moving forward with the suggested statutes that are in there, changes, and have them become part of a revised plan?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean, and
In other words, if I went in and did some editing that would incorporate a lot of what he said and we discussed, you would look at you could still look at this side by side, but it would give us a cleaner copy to look at.
yeah, I think that would be helpful. I mean, if you can incorporate the suggestions that Brian made.
I have the.
Yeah, all right, and then we could,
There may be some that we still want to go back into.
but there's the major departure from that, we've been talking about details and how big the districts are, but the big thing is going to be an instrument of enforceability in Act 250, or do we go in another direction?
Well, that's a should and a shall.
Yes, the should and the shalls, and so
I
that's what we have to
really,
decide.
I really think that we can't do that. We really got to talk to the select board. Are you interested in that? What they have done in the past, and we responded, was they said, would you please, because it'd start with us anyways, will you please write a bylaw? That's how it starts. We don't necessarily, I know I heard someone say at Two Rivers, well, we're not gonna work on that until you get the town plan done. Well, that's nice they said that, but it doesn't mean we have to follow that model. We don't necessarily have to use Two Rivers to start what we think might be an ordinance. But we gotta get it straight with the select board, that, hey, we're gonna do this. Do you want us to do this? And then we make up our minds. But that's the history of every bylaw that we've attempted in the last 30 years.
I just thought of a different way to interpret. I think it was Kevin who said we do one first and then the next one. I don't think that precludes us finishing the town plan and get it cleaned up and setting it here, and the select board maybe give it a once over, and before it goes through all the approval process, then we drive up and we do a bylaw, and then one can go through the tunnel first and then the other one goes. That's just a different way to interpret it.
Was he here at our last meeting?
I saw.
I wasn't at one of the meetings, I don't know.
I'm telling you, this sounds so familiar.
Well, I mean, bylaws are a regulatory means of implementing the town plan,
Yeah,
not in practice and in statute. So you have to have the town plan, spell it out first, and then have it in bylaws.
Right. But you know what, we seem to be, I don't want to speak for everybody, we seem to be settled on the direction we're going with the town plan for land use and everything else we talked to tonight. We haven't really departed from what we've been talking about. So it would seem to be, it would be relatively easy to, without going and asking Two Rivers for help on the bylaws, for us to sit down and say, well, we could do this, we could do that. Very preliminary, and go to the select board.
What's the harm in just going to the select board and saying, how are you now thinking about bylaws?
and what do you?
I really want to know.
Well, no, and here's where we are and knowing what we have to do in the process.
No, because.
We don't want to spin our wheels if we don't have to.
Exactly. We should at least approach them. That's how it's always been in the past. Is, well, give us an idea what you're talking about. We're not giving them a fixed document. It's like, oh, just, hey, this is what we're thinking of doing. In very general terms. And with the added statement that, hey, we're all ears for your thoughts on the subject.
And we've gotten some, I would think fairly characterize them as vague indications
Right,
that
they're thinking
we
about
would
it.
consider bylaws, but you know, if it turns out, that was my first question to Brian, was that if it turns out that those don't come to pass, then we have to go back to the drawing board on the town plan, if we want to have some enforceability in Act 250. We have a lot more now under Criterion 9, and that's the, and in my opinion, I don't know how much you read the decision on the Sunnymead case.
I've not actually read it.
If the minority, if it had gone 3-2 the other way, they said they were going to send it back, I think we had a good chance of prevailing in that case. So that case was much closer than the developers are making it out to be. But what was clear from all the legal proceedings, the environmental court and the district commission and the Supreme Court, is that we don't really want to get into Criterion 10. We don't want to use, they're just not comfortable using town plans as zoning ordinances. But they were much more open to a settlement pattern type argument that Criterion 9 does.
So is it appropriate to ask you to share some of our timing concerns with whether it's a select board, a town manager, or however the select board wants it to be handled? Let them know that we've met with Brian, we're going to make some of those changes, we have one or two other things that we're going to clarify, and then tell them the rest of the story about timelines, and that the shall and the shoulds, and our concern about being exposed, and can we get some sort of indication that we will have some support on the select board to move forward with the bylaw?
Yeah, I mean, I think they would say that, but then they'll hedge everything by saying, yeah, but when we,
Well, they may not
propose,
like
yeah,
it.
we're going to go to the voters with this thing, and history hasn't been kind to zoning ordinances when it gets to there.
I get it, but then if back to the repeat of a meeting, they can be lined up, and if the town doesn't like this, then we can say, okay, fine, we're not gonna have these, but we're gonna change the shall and shoulds and then go to live life that way.
If you're asking, I'm happy to go to the select
I
board,
would appreciate that,
and I'll go to the town manager first, but it has to be put on the
however they
agenda.
protocol it.
Yeah, whatever, because that's the protocol. And we'll lay out exactly what we're thinking.
That would be helpful.
Yeah.
Good.
And then if we, it's predictable enough, but let's get a commitment one way or the other.
That would be good.
Yeah.
If we wanted to look at some bylaws, I would think Friends, their trucks, what, is there a sampler?
Aren't they
So
listed
like
on the?
Stratford, that would be
We have,
analogous to.
we have a
what-
Heartland, we have 4 Heartland attempts. I sent one out to everybody. If you want a sample,
I wanted to look at something that was
He's
actually.
read that
adopted.
3 or 4 times.
So
They
what
don't,
he said to
yeah,
you.
they would, I think what's gonna be, what the sentiment is, if they're gonna put a bylaw in, it's gonna be very limited. It's gonna be something that's really directed at businesses in the rural areas.
what you forget or don't know
I
is
don't
that
know.
when we wrote these, the select board said, go for it, and then they put it up to the voters. It was the voters that turned it down.
Well, they
not
never
the
got
select
there.
board.
They never got there.
That's not true.
What? They didn't put the,
Yes, I remember hanging there, waiting for the votes to come in on at least 2 bylaws.
oh.
And they
okay.
lost.
All right.
But the select board said, go for it. One time they didn't, they hedged and we never finished it. But that's used to be how it.
Right.
Oh, you're going back before my time, okay. But the last one, the certain members of the select board, it wasn't we were just contacted informally by certain members of the select board and said, we think we're ready for a comprehensive zoning ordinance.
Mhm.
So we went to Two Rivers, they gave us really good boilerplate, we did a thing, and it was a fairly lengthy document, and it had setbacks, it had side yard, it was, but the intent of it was that the select board could pick and choose, we did put everything out there, but they pretty much decided, oh, this thing is too heavy, we're just not gonna do it at all. So,
We gave them the a la carte menu.
yeah,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
and they just didn't want the schmuck.
There again, that would not surprise me
Without
if we were
overload.
on, not
Are
on the
you
same
gonna be
page.
available?
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to do, is
Yeah.
if I go to, we
About-
want
Maybe
to
get in
get
touch with you about
firmer
this or
commitment
something.
now.
Yeah, you can
Because it
send me
turns
an
out the
email.
2 that came to us were the
I'm not
only
gonna
2.
intrude, I just want to get that. That's the first question. Second question is, and this is something to maybe take back to Kevin. Hypothetically, which I know is a terrible way to play life. If we develop bylaw that was, just like the last part of the conversation, very brief and not comprehensive like everything,
Mhm.
should we go back in then and do shoulds and shalls?
So.
For the area that's not
I
covered.
just want everyone to remember that in only 3 cases does your town plan carry any weight. 248s, 248As, and Act 250 cases.
Gotcha.
So that's a different,
It's not a zoning, we
it
put that in the
can't
second
be
sentence.
zoning for
Yeah,
most stuff.
That's
It can't
right.
function as zoning.
But
That's better than.
what I envision is that what we would come up with, at least, we might change our mind, but at least the way we pretty much did our draft of the town plan before Two Rivers saw it, was pretty much an attempt to try to use Act 250 for at least some zoning.
Sure.
And we could go back to that language and do we already have done it. We're gonna alter what's gonna come out of our town plan, but we can use the wording of the town plan and all the businesses that we identified and all of that and just make it an ordinance. So I think we're fairly down the road.
Yeah, you'll spend more time talking about what in what district should be permitted or
Right.
prohibited
But I
or
guess we don't need to
conditional.
worry about should and shall
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it right now.
Yeah, we were pretty, we spent a lot of time on it, so a lot of it has been done. So.
Yeah, because any development that doesn't trigger Act 250, even if you had in the
Right.
town plan, land use categories and saying what's allowed or not.
Doesn't matter.
It has to be an active 50 case for it to even
Right.
matter.
So this is really random, is there any place in the updated document where should be?
Where shall be.
Shall,
Shall be.
I saw a couple, but I didn't, but it wasn't,
Things that-
it wasn't dictated.
it wasn't, yeah, it wasn't,
Just like if there's a state law or something says
Right.
like,
okay.
class 1 wetland shall have a 100-foot
I
buffer.
just was, if I'm going to edit this,
No.
I'm looking for.
Yeah, I went through it, I mean, I thought it was good.
Yeah.
So but, let's look at it again, because we gotta come to a decision on that, and then move forward.
I'm good, I just want to make sure I was looking at it.
You all know where I started from, so that was a pretty big.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Well, the Supreme Court sort of gave us some guidance there, if you haven't read the decision, it's interesting reading. So, yeah, you came a lot closer to winning the case.
Yeah,
on
it
the
sounds like
regional plan than because we sort of kept that argument alive, almost pro forma, but
Yeah.
Okay.
Good,
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Jay, did you want this discussion about history and use of the most recent townwide survey?
I noticed that the survey is at the tail end of the town plan.
Yeah.
And maybe we could address some of other people, the people that either didn't understand or didn't particularly like
That's
survey.
water under the bridge, as
That
far
was-
as I'm
that's-
concerned.
that-
They want to do a different one the next time, then give us some pointers on that. This one's done.
Yeah.
I understand, I'm just.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
I'm
Tired
talking,
of people picking on stuff that they
yeah, I understand.
take a bunch of.
I'm talking about one sentence, 2 sentences of plan commission work.
Gotcha.
Blah, 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 blah. That's
I
it.
get it.
I'm not,
I understand, no, I'm on your side on that one.
Well, there was a paragraph in chapter 1 about the survey.
You don't.
Or maybe it was in the
Plan was a good-
introduction.
The survey was a good
It's
survey.
fine.
I think I had to
We're,
add,
we're done, and that was a good survey.
Yeah, I think it was, and I'm confident that there's nothing that we're even thinking about moving forward on that contradicts the survey.
No,
Yeah, we're sort of we can still very, say very frankly that we're following the survey.
the next survey will be the bylaw.
Yes, well, that'll be probably up or down,
That's-
whatever
that's the
comes out of
survey,
it.
It's
Yeah.
the town's opinion.
Yep, yeah, we'll know that soon enough.
I'm good.
Although the survey didn't bode too well for zoning, so we'll see.
I remember, wasn't it like 50-50?
It was about
Close to 50-50,
Yeah.
yeah, there were some things, the housing part was fine, but they wanted to keep rural areas rural, but then they didn't want zoning, so there was an inconsistency there, so, and I think that's the education that we have to do.
Yeah.
People think
Yeah.
you can't have both, and so, there's no guarantee you can have, but you can just let time and fortune dictate whether you do it, but
Right.
you're just one development away from.
anyways, to answer your question, that's it. I'm
All right.
done on that.
Okay, then I think what I'd like to do is just to go into executive session for the membership and maybe the Zoom and Wi-Fi issues.
Before you do that, I have a question. So I'm on the Portland Planning Commission website, and it says current town plan and working copies can be found here. It's not there.
It is,
So can I get one, please? Can you send me one?
Well,
You've got to work it out.
we could post it on the website, right? It
It
just,
hasn't been
yeah,
there
we-
since the Dead Sea was sick,
working
but
now?
It should be.
huh?
Well, let us look into that. I'll explain to you.
Okay,
Hey, what's your email address? I have it right here.
yeah, Bruce Merritt 1, the number 1, at gmail.com.
Spell everything out, Bruce Merritt.
Yeah.
1,
Just the number 1,
yep. At,
gmail.com. Someone
Yeah.
took my name, so I had to add a one.
Yeah, anything that we consider
Was
is.
someone older than
I
you
did
or
that,
was
unbelievable.
So there's nothing wrong with distributing
I
our
don't
work.
know that.
Yeah, okay.
I'm thinking mine.
Hey, is there a Bruce Miller 2 somewhere?
No, it is.
Somewhere in the country.
Or Bruce Sheridan
Should
also.
I terminate this?
There's a notice of Dan German in San Diego who's on Gmail. I'm not, but gets really pissed. It's my email.
Will the next meeting be on Wednesday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna work back to, yeah, we have
You
to.
know why it was on a Thursday?
Yeah, because of that, I understand.
Which is fine.
Are we okay?
But to be safe, check the,
Should we end the meeting?
Yes.
yes.
I'm,
Well, wait a second. Let's go into executive.
I move that we move into executive session.
I see.
Wait, before we do, yeah, good night. When's the next meeting? Right.
Well, we can come out of the executive session. Well, all right.
But then.
All right, let's take care of all the business. All right, so the next meeting is the first Wednesday of August, right?
August?
What date is that?
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6.
6th, okay.
Yes.
All right, so August 6th. Anything else before we move to adjourn? Oh, we're not adjourning, we're going into executive session and ending the public part of the meeting.
Did you have a problem? Submitting?
Yeah.
So we're moving
Yeah,
into
we
executive
should
session.
go on. Let us-
Nobody came on?
Nobody came.